You're about to enter the Atomic Voodoo Lounge, New Stanton's one and only surreal dive bar, bringing you beauty and magic and terahertz tragic. I'm Maxwell Vegas, writer, poet, musician, and author of the soon-to-be-published novel New Stanton. Descend with me into the static buzz of late-night radio, where words and music swirl through neon dreams and drift like cigarette smoke out over dried-up prehistoric seas. Welcome back to the Atomic Voodoo Lounge, or maybe you've been chased here by an ominous muscle car full of monsters. No worries, you're safe for the time being. Maxwell Vegas here, and tonight we have more autumnal fare, including my short story, A Car Full of Frankensteins. We have a bit of a sound experiment with Old Hamlet's Ghost, our cocktail of the evening, and music by the Grey Tones, Insect Surfers, and Lords of Atlantis. Of course, we'll throw a few six-word noirs into the mix, and who knows what else. So take your place at the bar. We've been saving it for you. Order a drink and watch out for the ghosts and ghoulies that haunt our every step. I think it would be appropriate to raise a drink to Mary Shelley, whose classic creature, Frankenstein's monster, haunts most of our dreams. And if it doesn't, well, it should. Tonight's cocktail, the classic Frankenstein's monster, is brought to life with a jolt of vibrant green and is monstrously fun and electrifying, especially around Halloween. What you'll need for this cocktail is 1.5 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of green melon liqueur, like Midori or sour apple pucker, 4 ounces of lemon lime soda, ginger beer, or sparkling water, and about 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice. Optional if you like the extra tartness. Fill a highball or beaker-style glass with ice, pour in the vodka and melon or sour apple liqueur, top with your choice of lemon lime soda, ginger beer, or sparkling water, stir gently to combine, and then here's the fun part. Garnish extravagantly for the full Frankenstein effect. Here are some ideas on how to bring out the spookiest in this cocktail. Black sugar rim. Before making the drink, rim your glass with black sanding sugar. To do this, moisten the rim with a lime wedge or corn syrup and dip it into the sugar. Lychee eyeballs. This is a classic Halloween garnish. Stuff a lychee with a blueberry or a small piece of cherry and push it into a cocktail pick. You can even soak the lychee in a bit of red fruit syrup for a bloodshot effect. Gummy worms. Drape a few gummy worms over the side of the glass as if they are crawling out of the monstrous creation. Also glassware. Serve your Frankenstein cocktail in unconventional glassware like beakers, flasks, or other science-themed glasses to enhance the mad scientist vibe. So bottoms up to Frankenstein's monster. Now here's a song, Agent Provocateur by the Grey Tones, that I think is just fantastic. I happened along it while searching the infinities between points A and B and reached out to the Grey Tones, who generously gave me permission to use this on the show. Here it is. Agent Provocateur.
Discover another
Is it wrong to say I fall in love every time I hear that? Well, I do. Check out the Gray Tones at thegraytones.com, gray spelled with an E, for surfy post-punk music that just can't be beat. Agent Mar and the abominable Dr. John are doing some fabulous work. So please, check out their stuff and support them if possible. If you're a fan of the show, you know what the 6-word noirs are all about. If you're not, they're simply 6-word stories that are tinged with hints of noir, surrealism, speculative elements, or all of the above. In essence, they're a little dark and strange. Tonight's first 6-word story was sent in by Substack subscriber Mr. Chris Detter. Sweaty brow, smudged bifocals, help wanted. The next set come from yours truly, Maxwell Vegas, and they were inspired by tonight's story, A Car Full of Frankensteins. Sutured hands reach through inky dark. Porch lights blinked away ponderous night. Autumn moon slipped beneath ragged clouds. Stapled foreheads turned, white eyes searching. As usual, I'm sending out my Maxwell Vegas challenge to all of my Substack subscribers. Think you can write a good 6-word noir, or speculative, or surreal story? Well, type them up. Send them in for a chance to hear yours read on the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast. Go to atomicvoodoolounge.com and subscribe. It's free. Why wouldn't you? Okay, for your listening pleasure, we are excuse me. Hello, Atomic Voodoo Lounge. This is Maxwell Vegas. Ah, Dewey, how are you? How's the big world treating you outside of Newsstand? Harold? Yeah, he's here. He's doing the ritual with the night diver, you know, with the stone and the bottle. Yeah, he's pouring them out. Tell him thank you. Will do. Hey, don't be a stranger. See you later. Okay now. Goodbye. That was just Dewey, a character from my novel Newsstand, checking in on Mr. Harold Dean. Where was I? Oh, yes. For your listening pleasure, the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast is proud to present Insect Surfers, Space Park Drive, off of Infragreen 2013. Insect Surfers, driving you home on Space Park Drive. Check them out on insectsurfers.com. This next feature is something new, something I've been playing around with. It's a literary remix, musical extravaganza, and I call it Old Hamlet's Ghost.
Mark me. My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself. I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood. Murder most foul, strange and unnatural. The serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown. That incestuous, that adulterate beast. But soft, methinks I scent the morning air. Brief let me be, sleeping within my orchard, my custom always of the afternoon. Upon my secure hour, thy uncle stole, with juice of cursed Hebenon a vial, and in the porches of mine ears did pour the leprous distilment. Thus was I, sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, of queen, at once dispatched. Oh, horrible, most horrible. Murder most foul, strange, and unnatural. Oh, horrible, most horrible. Remember me, Mark. I am thy father's spirit. Revenge is foul and most unnatural murder. Murder most foul. Mark. Most foul, strange, and unnatural. Remember me. A servant stung me. A servant stung me. The serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown. Remember me. And in the porches of mine ears, sleeping, and in the porches of mine ears, the leprous distilment, and in the porches of mine ears, by a brother's hand, and in the porches of mine ear, at once dispatch, and in the porches of mine ear, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, revenge. Revenge is foul and most unnatural murder. Mark. Remember me. I am thy father's spirit. That incestuous, that adulterate beast, by a brother's hand, at once dispatched. Oh, horrible, most horrible. I am thy father's spirit. Remember me.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. Head on over to atomicvoodoolounge.com, subscribe, and let me know what you think. The synth work on that was done by a friend of mine, Dirt Ronan, And I was doing my best to hold down the guitar and reading portions. Courtesy of Taboo Recordings, we have Eye of the Sahara by Lords of Atlantis off of their 2023 self-titled LP. Satisfy your surf needs by going to houseoftaboo.com, Tabu, remember, for more Lords of Atlantis. Hopefully you have some of that classic Frankenstein's monster cocktail left. If not, give old Harold Dean a wink and a nod, and he'll be sure to mix you up another one. Tonight's featured story is A Car Full of Frankensteins by yours truly, Maxwell Vegas. A Car Full of Frankensteins, a newsstand story by Maxwell Vegas. Frankensteins! Someone yelled as the splash and twang of rockabilly guitar reverberated across the suburban night. It must have come from the next street over because Rusty saw no one except a lone trick-or-treater who disappeared down the sidewalk and into oblivion. For a split second, he considered the possibility he was watching himself vanish into the dark in silent dread of Halloween. But somehow that just didn't compute. Just couldn't be, regardless of the illogical holiday. Rusty scanned the empty streets, stepping one sneaker onto the asphalt, but before he could pluck it back, a car full of Frankensteins careened down Center Avenue, flat skulls, green skin, and neck bolts flashing before his eyes in a torrent of exhaust and link ray. Tilting his head in confusion, Rusty, a cobbled-together monster himself, clutched his treat bag tighter, feeling for the heavy bar, the one Mrs. Gardner dropped into his eager hand several houses back. But how was he different from those Frankensteins? They were much older for sure, but there was something else, something they wanted, something they lacked. Reaching into his bag, Rusty ran his fingers over Mrs. Gardner's bar, reassured by the midnight static of old transistor radios and the smell of fresh electronics. Rusty crossed Center Avenue, walking past the gas station toward the Outer Limits arcade before ducking behind an old motel and over to First Street, where a man in a field jacket stood at a payphone, not talking, but taking notes, his pen moving across a small black book, seeming to detail the kid's movements. The exhausted scrape of his shoes across the pavement, the fading spark urging him onward, urging him home to Mother. As he paused, Rusty side-eyed the man, unsure of whether he was an angel or a devil or just an observer writing reports to no one in particular. Suddenly, through the stillness, the monster's black 78 Malibu rolled out of the gloom, and Rusty ducked behind a parked car, clasping his bag and peeking up through the driver's side window. Frankensteins. Their stapled foreheads turned back and forth, white eyes searching through the haze of guitar-driven rock and roll. The kid reached for the bar again, its outline warm and faintly buzzing against the other candy wrappers. Holding his breath, he watched the shadows move on. As their taillights faded, Rusty bolted through the fallen leaves, acorns, and wood smoke to emerge a block over. A ringed autumn moon slipped from behind ragged clouds and silvered the street before him. Porch lights went out, and he was left alone, except for the Frankenstein's rumbling muscle car and their music. They were tailing him, and he dared not turn his head, expend his last bits of energy, heed any of their odious grunts and snarls or inarticulate laments. Almost home, almost to Mother, almost, he thought, panic draining his levels even lower, seizing his joints. A block away, Rusty's porch light blinked on, a beacon in the ponderous night spurring him to sprint along the center of the street, the flat-headed monsters in pursuit. As the Frankensteins bore down on him, a green, sutured hand reached from the driver's side window, slow and stiff. It closed on nothing as Rusty juked to the left, stumbled across the walk, and crawled up his porch steps. The jealous monsters leered and grumbled from their idling automobile as the kid dumped the bag of treats onto the gray floorboards, sifting through peanut butter cups, Kit Kats, Snickers, Almond Joys, and there it was, the silver bar thrumming, glowing, illuminating Rusty's angular face. He had exactly what every Frankenstein wanted. What their decaying organics lacked, something they would never have even if they had caught him. With a knowing smile toward the monsters below, He pushed the bar straight into his mouth and walked into Mother's glowing arms. Coming soon from Heavy Sixer Productions, New Stanton, a novel by Maxwell Vegas. Mr. Harold Dean, a shady alcoholic, just woke up with one hell of a hangover at the Starlight Inn, New Stanton's dingy motel. The only problem is, New Stanton doesn't exist. Join Mr. Dean on this postmodern night journey through buried memories, liminal spaces, and treachery as he searches for his sole means of escape, a blue 1964 Chevy Malibu. Will he be able to find his car before the evil Dr. Freytag does? Can Mr. Dean trust a host of bizarre characters to help him solve the mysteries of his own dysfunction and accept that New Stanton is exactly where he needs to be? The answer to these questions and many more lies scattered across New Stanton, a town that sits on the edge of a dried-up prehistoric sea, a town that exists inside and down. That brings us to the close of tonight's episode of the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast. No matter what monsters chased you here, we're certainly glad they did. I'm Maxwell Vegas, and thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more Atomic Voodoo Lounge stories, music, poetry, and who knows what else. Our current schedule is one episode every other week, or about twice a month, for the time being. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe at atomicvoodoolounge.com. Did I mention it's free? And spread the good word. And if you are interested in contributing or being a sponsor, drop me a line and we can discuss the particulars. And don't forget about our 6-word noir challenge, open to Substack subscribers. So check out the Atomic Voodoo Lounge on Substack and subscribe. Find out more about Maxwell Vegas and Heavy Sixer Productions at heavysixerproductions.com or maxwellvegas.com. And remember, Vegas is spelled V-A-G-U-S. Thanks to the Grey Tones, Insect Surfers, Lords of Atlantis, Taboo Recordings, Dirt Ronin, Chris Detter, and Mad Gravity Studio for their song Shady, which we used under our 6-word noir stories. You can check them out at mgstudio.org. All music, words, composed, read, and or performed by Maxwell Vegas unless otherwise stated. All text, music, and performances copyright Heavy Sixer Productions, LLC, 2025. All rights reserved. Some sound effects and music used under Creative Commons license. And as always, remember, no AI training. Please leave your AI bots out of the infinities between my point A and point B. Thanks for listening, and thank you, monstrous beasts, who spur us on to action. Good night. I'm Maxwell Vegas.